Hi everybody, it's Lene. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I haven't done a manila envelope or large size packaging envelope in a while. And I stopped by the Dollar Tree yesterday and I just picked up a couple of these. And I think we're going to use 2 of them. And if you cut them in just such a way, you can get a long, thin envelope like this. Okay? Really long, 12 inches long and 4.5 inches wide, slightly smaller than 4.5 inches wide. And then you can do so many things. So from one envelope, you're actually getting 2 of these. And then I was experimenting like, okay, where can I fold this in half? Well, I could just fold it directly in half like that. And then I could also fold it almost in half and then a little bit more. So you could get different lengths of a project depending on where you fold it. This could just be sort of a flap right here that could be a top loading pocket and then a side loading pocket. Or you could have it be a little bit wider or just fold it in half. So I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about that part, but let me show you which paper we're going to pair this with. So I love using this one. This is Songbirds 12 by 12 patterned cardstock. It's from hot off the press, available at Paper Wishes, and I list my links for Paper Wishes down below the video, and you can just click on those. And then also I use my other supplies are pretty much from Amazon. So there's 2 lists down below the video. I love pairing, excuse me, I love pairing this one because this kind of orangey color, you guys, goes really well with the embellishments and the birds and things on this. So let's take a little flip through this paper. You can see what I mean. We're really going to let the paper do the work for us on this project. This project would work great with 6 by 6 paper as well. I really want to get these large images, so I'm going to go with a 12 by 12. And then on the back, the little notes on the border are so cute. And then this one has lots of opportunities for birds here, and then here, and then the music. And then I love the little feather stenciling on the bottom. And then this one with the little blue, and then of course all the music and the bird up here. So pretty much, I mean, I can cut these like this and I can get my little bird scene in here. There'd be plenty of room for adding photos, whatever else I wanted to add to them. And then this really beautiful, bright sort of magenta. Well, I don't know if it's magenta. It's more, maybe more of a little magenta with some plum in there. And then of course this fabulous golden yellow with the pink. And there's 3 birds here. And then the beautiful branches. And then on the back, it's got this great white music with the birds at the top and bottom corners. Of course, our cutout sheets here for the little toppers. At work, if you're new here, I work for paperwishes.com, and on my spare time, I just love making more paper crafts. So I'm just doing this on my day off. But yeah, we call these card toppers little cutouts because they go great on top of a 5 by 6.5 inch card. When I'm at home, I primarily do other kinds of paper crafts. So yeah, these are really great with the little greetings. And then on the back, that wonderful golden yellow with little pink diamonds. And then this great cutout sheet with greetings and sentiments. And then there's some blank tags there. Okay. So I'm going to figure out which paper to use. And then we're going to talk about just cutting this down. I can tell you right off, we're going to use 2 of these. These are 9 by 12, okay? And then if you have the ones that have the little gold closure, we're not going to use that. In fact, it'll just get in the way. So if you just peel really gently, it'll come right off. And if it tears a little bit, that's okay because we're just going to cover it with paper anyway. I am going to let the gold border show on this. But if you have a different color envelope, maybe you have white ones or different color, then you can absolutely use an ink pad along the edge, okay, to color that edge. And also, reaching across my room here, you could also use you know, like those chisel tip poster markers, and you can just do a really nice little border going along the edge there. So there's a couple options for you if you want to ink your edge, but I want to do one today that's just got very little inking, if any at all. All right, so I think, yes, I'm going to use this navy blue one. I just love the way those golden birds are really making this envelope color pop. Okay, I'm going to make it work for me. And then on the back side, it's also blue with the music notes. And then this sheet has got the blue birds on it. And then on the back, it's got that really pretty pink color, which I think is going to work really nicely with these flowers. Okay. So that's the plan. Let's talk about, move these up here, this over here. Let's talk about how we cut these envelopes down. I'm gonna grab my paper cutter. Boy, you'd think I wasn't gonna film a video today because I feel disorganized. All right, so using my paper cutter to cut this in half lengthwise. All right, so if we are 9 inches wide, and remember, you guys, these things are mass produced and not known for their accuracy. So if I put this right on my edge of my line, it's coming in at actually 8 7/8. Okay, so it's not quite 9 inches. So we're gonna go ahead and do 4.5 inches. Maybe just a smidge under 4.5 inches, and see how close we can get to cutting this in half. And I wouldn't go by like, oh, go down the center where the little hole is for the little clasp. You know, those are not accurate as well. Wow. Oh, do I need a new, ooh, I need a new blade. I'm always so shocked when I need a new cutting blade because they last so long, but you know, there's only so much they can do, right? All right, so let's go back to just under 4.5 inches. Okay, there we go. Ooh, this little piece, every time I do this, this little piece on the inside comes out. That's okay, it's just where the paper folded. All right, so now we have 2 equal pieces. Let me line these up. Yep, we're good. And now I need my scoreboard. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put these kind of upside down and put the squared up edges in the corner and not worry about this part at the bottom that has the opening. And what we're going to do is we're going to score at 4 inches. And I'm acting like I don't write things down for you guys, so I need to grab my pen. Okay, and then cut 4 1/2 by 12, and then score at 4 inches. All right, there we go. Screenshot that if you need to. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and score all the way down. Ooh. And then actually not all the way down. We're not going to get into scoring the envelope, the flat part. Just leave that for now. We're going to do the other side as well. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to, got this piece opened. We're going to go all the way to the bottom where that little 1/4 inch score line is. And we're just going to cut right there, just that little 1/4 inch. And then we're going to take this part that we scored. I want you guys to be able to see this score line, so I'm going to ink it. because we're going to cut it. And I really want you to see it. Here, I'm just gonna ink it a little bit. I knew I said I wasn't gonna ink, but this doesn't really count really. All right, that line is where we folded that, or scored that rather. I'm gonna take our scissors and just the front part of this, we're going to cut that off. And you're gonna cut it all the way down to the end where we made that little cut at the bottom. So we're getting rid of that. This is some of the inside part again where the pieces overlap. All right, there we go. And then if you're not, ooh, that's really crooked. That's pretty bad. All right. It's because I didn't ink the rest of the way down. All right, there we go. Now you're gonna take this other part that's over here, the other scored line, and we're just gonna fold it right over that. See, it's much easier than it feels. We're gonna glue it shut like that. Now, yes, you have this weird little line the length of one side, but that's going to get covered with paper. Let me show you something. Okay, where's your line? It's gone. It's covered with paper. Now, we do need to deal with this top, all right, because we've got this weird little piece right here. The easiest thing I can suggest is, first of all, use small scissors. And then this side looks all nice. We're actually going to just fold. We're not going to fold it. We're just going to like bend it. See how I'm not creasing it? You're just going to bend it like this. And we're going to hold it right here. We're going to take some scissors and we're just going to trim that with that other edge, just like that. That looks pretty good. And then you've got this other little piece right here. Ooh, it actually got glued. Just snip it off. Erase the glue. And then, ooh, we probably need to go down a little farther than that actually. So I think I'll amend that. Maybe cut this part off at the end before we glue. There we go. All right, that's it. Now, it does have a little bit of a curve here. Let me see if you guys can see this. The paper is kind of curving up this way because our manila envelopes curve to the center. That doesn't bother me. I'm just going to leave it. You could also try to trim it. That's fine. All right. So for a closure, when we're all done, I'm just going to be using a little like Velcro dot there. So I think I have decided we're going to go ahead and score this. A little bit there needs to be done. We're going to score this, I think, like a flap, like not all the way over. So remember, this is 12 inches long. So what if we scored this at, if we did 6 inches, that's going to be right in half. If we did 5 inches, we could do, let's do 4.5 inches. And then this is lengthwise. And then you're going to score scored when altered at 4.5 inches. Okay. So now that's just going to get folded up right there. Now, if you're like, oh no, I don't like things that are kind of asymmetrical, I like it folded in half, you can absolutely fold it in half, okay? Because we're now at 7.5 inches long. So our little book is going to be 7.5 inches long, but you could fold it in half and you could make yours 6 inches long, whatever you want to do. Now, the other little cut we need to make is on the top edge right here. And I know we just sealed it, okay? But I thought about having you not seal it and leave this part open because we're going to make a pocket at the top of this, but it was too hard to figure out how to explain that. So now go ahead and you're going to just take the tiniest little bit off that top edge, right to that fold line. Okay, so now we have a pocket here, a nice long pocket, and then right here we have a little short pocket at the top. Okay, and I'm going to do that with the other envelope, and we'll have a total of 4 of these using 2 envelopes. All right, one more thing before we start cutting paper down. Once I got all my envelopes done, I know I'm going to take one of these envelopes and have it be sort of the cover of my book. So the flap here is going to be on the inside. That means that the cutaway part is going to be on the top here, and the little flap is going to be on the left. So if you want to put all of yours on one side, let's say you had your flap on the outside here, then yes, cut the top edge here. Otherwise, when you turn it over, your cut edge is going to be down here. So I guess what I'm saying is, before you cut this, like I just told you to in the last video, before you cut this part, figure out the direction that you want your book to go, and then cut that top edge, okay? Because our binding is going to look like, well, our format is going to look like this, and this, and like this, and then I'm going to take a couple of these little rings and we're going to do a binding like that. It's going to be a really simple binding. By the way, I just get these at like garage sales, estate sales, thrift shops, and I just put them, I have an old shower ring, I just stick them all on there, and I can kind of tell what sizes I need, and these are so inexpensive. So I saw that they had these at the Dollar Tree too. You can get them like 1 inch and 1.5 inch, so grab those. I've cut my paper into 3 strips that are 12 inches long. So your 12 by 12 paper, you're going to cut that into 3 7/8 inch this way, and then 12 inches long, because it's just going to look so nice with that little bit of a border, just a little bit of that yellow border going around the edge. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and cut it this way, you know, the horizontal length, depending on which piece, whether we're putting it here, we'll cut it to a different length, we'll cut it here, but these are primarily the lengths you're going to need. Before we get too much farther on that, I did think about a way of decorating each flap so that we don't have to cover it with paper. Now, if you want to cover it with paper, that's great, but I love using my little doily stencil. And if you've been watching me for a while, you know I use it whenever I can. And I'm just going to put this doily stencil, it has little scallops on it, and I'm going to just try to center my scallops. You don't have to use a doily stencil, you could use whatever you want. Leaves or something along that line would be great. I'm using Prussian blue ink, it's just navy blue, an applicator tool. I'm not going to tape it down because I'm just doing such a small amount here. But because I'm using kind of navy throughout this as a color theme, I wanted to just put this on the edge of each flap like that. And then a little at the top edge. I know I said we weren't going to do any inking, but this is different. And then there, and that just kind of blocks that off, kind of frames it. That's it. That's what we're going to do on each flap. Done, right? I've got my paper cut down, and for every one of the envelopes, the new size envelope, you're going to need 2 of this size, and I'll give you the measurements, and 2 of this size. So cutting the paper is going to be very simple because you really only need to cut 2 different shapes. So the first shape is 7 1/4 inches long by 3 7/8 inches wide. They're all going to be 3 7/8 inches wide, or tall rather. Okay, this number will change depending how wide they are. So this size is going to be 7 1/4, and that can go both on the cover, on the front, and then it can also go on the reverse side. You can place it here. So that same length. All right, for this one right here, we're going to use 4 1/4 inch this way long and 3 7/8 inch tall. And those will get glued here and here. And then it's also important to know that to cover all 4 of these altered shape envelopes, you're going to need both of these plus 1 more. So it could be 2 of this one or 2 of this one, all right? And then 1 more. So you need 3 sheets of 12 by 12 paper. And in the paper pack I showed you, you get 2 of each of these. So I've chosen 1 of the blue and 2 of this one. And that's what you'll be seeing. All right, and then let's see, let's do some gluing as we finish here. On the front, I'm going to go glue this beautiful bird with this really rich blue color. And you'll notice when I'm gluing, I'm trying not to get too close to the edge, because when you're using liquid glue, you want to do a little bit of squish room, because that glue will squish out. Okay, and then you're going to center that so it has that nice golden border there. We're going to flip that over. After we're done gluing this all down, we're going to do a little punching with some circle punches, and we're going to talk about the binding. And then when I'm all done gluing these papers in for all of the pieces, I will come back and show you. Ooh, I should make note, when you're putting glue on this end by the pocket, I did get a little close to that. Make sure you're not getting glue that will overlap the pocket and glue it shut. There you go. And what I'm doing is I'm just gluing this right up close to the top, so it's going to kind of even this out right here, because it did have that slant. All right. Let's see, what was I saying? And then I'm going to decorate it. After the binding is done, I'm going to add flowers and cutouts, and I will show you that in the final flip through. All right, the last piece right here. I love this piece. It looks like it has lots of chipped paint. All right. I've had people ask me why, when I do glue around the outside edges, why I do just 1 strip in the center. And that's because the most important part is the thing that gets handled the most are the outer edges of any paper project, and you just need a little bit to tack it down in the center. This is the workhorse around the edges. It's really doing most of the work. All right, so now this one I hadn't cut because I wanted to wait and see. Remember how we were opening this edge up? So I'm going to go ahead and open this edge up now that I am firmly committed to that being the top of my pocket. Come on, there we go. Now the other thing I'm going to do, I love to notate a pocket with a little bit of a punch. So I have 2 sizes of punches here. I have a 2-inch wide circle punch to make a notch, or I have a 1.5 inch wide circle punch. I think I'm going to do the 1.5 inch, and we're just going to hold both of those layers together. I'm only using about 1/3 of the area of the punch, and I'm trying to make sure I have about the same amount on each side. And you just have a little bit of a notch right there, so it shows the recipient of this, if it's a gift, that, oh, there's a pocket there. And then the same thing up here. I like to use flat punches that like this, so there's not a lot of bulk on them. You can get this in my Amazon store. These are by EK Success, and I really like these punches for that. I can just open this up, slide that down in there. It's not too bulky, and do another little notch right there. And then it's just, you don't have to do those notches. They're just a little decoration that I like to do. All right, so that's gonna go like that, that's gonna go like that, that's gonna be the front cover, and then I'm pretty much doing the exact same thing on the other three. Then finally, let's discuss the binding. We're going to be using these little binder rings. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. They're 1 inch wide. You can also get them in my Amazon storefront. I like to use these a lot. They're just a really simple way to bind things together. So we're going to use those, but we have to do some hole punches. And the best way to get through a lot of layers is to use a 1/8 inch hole punch. You can also get this in my Amazon storefront. The traditional size, if you don't know, is a 1/4 inch. It looks like this. You can even find these at thrift shops. I see them all the time in the office supplies. This one is going to be great if you just have like 2 layers to go through. But if you're going through, we have 4 layers on each corner basically. And what I like to do, I've already done it on this side, is go in as far as measuring where you're going to put them. Go in as far as you can, put a little mark, and then punch, okay? And then turn that, fold it together, and then use that one as your mark to go through the other one. And that way everything's going to align. And you're only going in from each side the width of your punch. That way it keeps everything even. You don't really have to measure. And that's like 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to do that on each one of our pages. I usually like to do this when I'm all done, but I just wanted to give you a heads up on that one because when we come back, this is already going to be bound. And then you just put everything in like that, and you put each section together. Project done. All right, you can see here that I've added some little crepe ribbons. I got these at paperwishes.com, and they come in a whole little package of different colors. And I added light blue, dark blue, burgundy, mauve, and some yellow. And I thought it picked up the colors really nicely. I took a 1 inch strip of that sort of magenta plum colored paper, and I just tore, it's about 1 inch wide, and I just tore the right edge of it and then glued that right there between this yellow border. And then I added another little border here using, I only have one left, these little sticker borders in this gold leaf pattern, and literally just placed it right here, trimmed it at the ends. Added some little flowers. These are called honey and apricot, and they come in about 3 different shades of yellow, and these little paper flowers with the little beads. These are from paperwishes.com as well. And then I added some pink crystals, just sort of cascading down, really letting the paper do the work for you here. I just love the bird and all of the colors. So let's open it up here. We've got our little flap. Then I added just that little Velcro fastener, okay, and oops, the rest of these fell out. They're little 3/8 of an inch fasteners, and I just put one end right here and one end right here. Seals so nicely, opens really easily. Here's one of the cutouts from the paper pack, you guys, and I just used a little corner rounder. This is also from EK Success, little 1 inch corner rounder, and this is available in my Amazon storefront as well. I think they come in a pack of 2. All right, and then on this side, another border, another little cutout. This is the same size cutout. I just literally cut it down so that it would fit inside the pocket. And then here's another one. Great place to just add journaling. You put photos in here. There we go. Oh, and I forgot to mention, on the inside of the flap, before I added the Velcro fastener, there's the gummy part right here from, you know, the envelope part where you seal it. And I didn't want that to get sticky or prevent this from, you know, any kind of moisture at different times of the year that's in your house could actually seal this envelope permanently. So I just took a strip of paper and I glued that across each one and then added the fastener. Okay, on this one I had pretty much solid blue page here. So I took a corner of this paper and I just tore it and then glued this on just two sides, and then making a little pocket. These are just some of the cutouts from the paper pack. And these are just extra ephemera pieces for when I give this project away to one of my subscriber friends. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. Then I added another border. Here's a cutout and then one of those cute little yellow flowers. Okay, more pockets, you guys. More goodies. Here's one of the little cutouts. On this one, I ended up with two pockets that I ended up putting the same paper on them because I wanted to make them sort of twin pockets. And then I thought, well, I'll put a pocket on the pockets. So I just took 2" by 3.5" rectangles, used my little half circle, little notch there, inked the edges with that blue ink, and then glued these on 3 sides. These are just some little cutouts to add here, added some more of that border. There we go, another one of those. And then finally we're down to our last pocket. So this one was really fun to put together. I loved the minimal amount of measuring it takes. You know, cutting out and covering the pages. You're just really dealing with 2 sizes of rectangles, and that just made the process so much more enjoyable to then just spend some time adding some more details to it. So you guys, as you know, I love to give away my projects to my subscriber friends. So every week we offer the finished product up to one of my subscriber friends. And all you have to do is like, comment, and subscribe to enter to win. And then you need to watch next week's video for the pop-up announcing the winner. You might have noticed a pop-up in this week's video. Well, that was announcing the winner from last week's project. So definitely participate in that. We love to give our projects away. And if you would like to help me and participate in my shipping expenses, that would be great, because as you know, US postage just went up quite a bit and it cost me substantially more to mail these packages out, and we pay for those on our own. So that would be great. And you could do that in 2 ways. You could do a super thanks, which is down below the video through YouTube, or you could also do buy me a cup of coffee, and the link for that is below in the description box. And then let's see, also, yeah, watch me on my other socials on Facebook and Instagram, because I do little videos throughout the week promoting our projects and also giving sneak peeks on paper packs. And I really need to do another short reel project over there. I like to do just little quick and easy projects on those formats as well. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I'll see you in the next one.